What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the altar, and today we are here with Aviv of Consciously Dying. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, anytime, man, anytime. So your new album, I gotta tell you, I love the whole overall theme of it. With you got Bereavement, a guide to loss and grief. Was this first thing is always first? Did you think of like a concept to express the process of grief with anger, denial, acceptance, bargaining? Was this like a vision you had in mind before you started writing the music in a way, or did this idea more come through fruition after you had the album already written?
Definitely, of course. I mean, the partner I had at the time is a therapist, and we're all consciously aware of the whole psychological aspect of it. We just give it names, right? We call it a certain process. Even the process itself isn't that simple. Right? It's not like you have anxiety or depression. It's a spectrum of a bunch of stuff that you have. I mean, it was around COVID. I had the concept in my mind about writing that. I've been talking about it years before. But then when COVID happened, I had more time to write. We were performing. And so the process started, the process of really writing it. But I'm a person that really, I live what I write. Mm-hmm. So that process so the album's called Bereavement, a guide to loss and grief, right? And it's exactly what it is. It's a guide to loss and grief. This is a way for metalheads to understand what they're going through, what the process is. I've experienced loss in my life, but I think that around the album, the biggest loss that I've experienced at the time was my life, my own life, the life that we knew, the life that we had before COVID. And I went through that process. So I've lived the denial, I've lived the anger, I lived the bargaining, I lived the depression and the acceptance, all of it. And those are just the five tracks, because there's 5 stages. But then the rest of the album really dives into mortality, which is something that fascinates me very much. And a little more about acceptance and about letting go. Same Begging to Die, for instance. That's a song about letting go of your grief. Because if you don't, you'll be begging to die.
Well, I was gonna ask if you kind of just answered it, but if this album was very much rooted personally, or being that there's been so many different mediums, whether it be visual art, literature, film, all this that express the themes of grief, was there almost maybe a lot of research and a lot of external sources of inspiration, or was it all internal?
No, there was. I wanted to understand it a little more. I had kind of 3 aspects to that. I had the research that I did, right? I want to know more about this. And then there was my partner at the time, where she's a therapist, and I was surrounded by that, right? By psychology. And understanding that kind of stuff. And then there was the 3rd aspect, which was what I was going through. And that was the whole point of all of this. I don't just write for myself. Technically, I want it to be out there. I want this to help people. We want this to help people. That's the whole fucking point of it. It's supposed to help people. If you listen to this album and you understand what you're going through, then it did its job. That was the whole point of the whole thing.
Well, and you also mentioned this too, because when you have half of the album being denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance, you have half the album of that, but then you're dealing with mortality. So would tracks such as gasping for air or life will end, and so on, do those express maybe a different side of what this concept is in a way?
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%. Gasping for air, in the personal aspect, was written about my stress. I was in school, I was working 3 jobs, I started having these stress rashes all over. I remember walking the halls at Musicians Institute, which was where I was going at the time. And I was under so much stress, and I'm just running from one place to the next. I gotta go to work, I gotta go to school, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And just like this gasping for air in my life, right? And then I think, in the bigger aspect, it just kind of made sense because COVID happened after, right? That fucking mask on your face. No one could breathe.
Yeah.
And it just kind of it worked that way, but there is the collective and there's the individual. I am the individual. We are the collective. And that's what I'm trying to bring together.
Do you think that this is, and I'm probably asking this way too far in advance or prematurely, but do you think that this is going to be like a subject matter that you explore more in the future in a way because there's so much to be had with it? Or do you kind of want to, can you see yourself maybe exploring different meanings and different subject matters for the future of Consciously Dying?
I am. I'm living it. Bereavement is about grief. It's a guide to loss and grief. Right? So Delusions Delusions EP was a lot of death.
Yeah.
There's a lot of death and sickness and disease and dying. You know, the t-shirt said kill yourself on the back, right? But we have to die. We have to grieve. And now it's time to be reborn. And so, you know, that's actually the first time I'm talking about this, but the next album, the album that we're writing right now, is about what I'm going through, what we are going through. It is about resilience. It is about resilience. It is about strength. It is about overcoming. It is about finding the strength and the power within yourself to persevere, because there's enough shit that we're going through.
So it has more of like sort of a, and I don't like this term in a way because I think all artistic creation is positive to an extent, but like this does have more of a positive messaging than rooting in grief. This is almost kind of like would you say it's almost going to be like a part 2 to Bereavement in a way where now you overcame this and now you're a better person in a way?
Of course. The next album is The Way of the Sun Warrior.
The Way of the Sun Warrior.
Yeah, so a little bit about the Sun Warrior. He's actually not on tour with us. Eddie Solanis Mashika, the Sun Warrior, is at home. He's not part of the tour. He couldn't join us, so we're playing as a 3-piece. But Eddie is he's our guitarist in our band, and he is the Sun Warrior. He is a person that is very inspiring. He has given me so much strength. This is a spiritual metalhead, if you will, and it's great. It's great having him. He has taught me so much. He's younger than me. He's more than 10 years younger than me, I think. But he's taught me so much. There was a Native American tribe called Mashika, which are the Sun Warriors. And it's part of a lot of things that I'm not really 100% on yet. I still have to do the research and really to immerse myself in it. However, we are warriors, all of us, in our lives. I'm going through my own journey right now. I've been through a lot. I've been through the past 4 or 5 months. I can't even get into it, man.
Well, it's the journey that
so
matters,
much.
not the endings.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So whatever happens to you, you have 2 choices. You can either become a victim or you can become wise. And I choose wisdom every time.
As you should.
I don't have a choice.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to kill myself, right?
Yeah.
I don't want this to end. I like life.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so not metal for you to say.
I know, but I want to survive. It's a new generation of metalheads. I've been talking to a lot of metalheads that, it's funny. Extreme metalheads, black metalheads, death metalheads. You talk to them and it's like when they pass their 30s, there's a certain place where I'm not as angry anymore, but then what do I do with this? I'm just so used to the anger. I'm so used to taking my anger and putting it in metal or connecting it. And that's okay. We all do that. It's great. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. That's the thing that we provide. You go to my show, you go to our show, and that is a place where you will not be judged. You can mosh, you can bang your head, you can scream, you can fucking yell and act like a fucking animal, like a beast, and let it all out.
Evil music for good people. That's how
Exactly.
It is.
So they can be good people.
Of course.
100%.
Absolutely. And I'm very excited to see Consciously Dying live tonight for the first time, as I believe everybody in New York is. I can't freaking wait. Are you going to be playing Bereavement in its entirety, and you're doing it chronologically in a way?
Kind of, yeah. So it might be a little bit partially by design that way, so that as I said, the first 5 tracks are the process itself.
Yeah.
We normally don't play acceptance live.
Really?
Yeah, that's never happened.
Why not?
I don't know. I guess kind of leaving it open, you know?
Well, I was going to ask because the 5 stages of grief,
Yeah.
starting with denial, and then anger, and then bargaining, and then depression,
Yeah.
and then acceptance. I was going to ask if is it almost that is the natural process. So when you play this material live, do you almost kind of have to play it in that order in a way, or can you maybe open up with bargaining and then close with anger or denial or something like that?
Well, we do play it chronologically, so the show does start with denial.
Okay.
And we're doing anger, and then bargaining, and then depression, and then the rest. We do, gasping for air. We don't do Life Will End. That's another one that we don't really do as much live unless it's an extended show. But then Sleep Forever, Begging to Die, and then hopefully COVID-19. It really depends on like how the engagement with the audience is, how the show is. If they want more, we'll definitely give more. That's the point. But yeah.
When you revisit this material live and you bring in your own personal demons into it, when you replicate that in a live setting, does it put you back in the same emotional headspace as when you were first writing it, or is it a completely different energy that you're channeling in live than when you first wrote it?
Somewhat it does. I mean, there's a part of me that's still attached to it, but then there's a part of me that wants to give. I'm there to give. When we play a show, we are there to give. We are there to give to you, right? When you come to a show, you are accepted. You're part of this. You are part of us. We are all together there. That's what a show is. We all come together. So I share myself completely naked on stage. All of us, the band too, right? And then we stand in front of you. We play our music. You can see us. We can see each other. There has to be this kind of exchange. So there's a little bit of me that's still attached to that, and it goes this way, but I get back.
Do you when you have to rely on darkness or grief for this matter as a means of artistic inspiration? It's very cathartic to create this, but does it also maybe make the songwriting process just as deteriorating? Because I've always said that when artists use darkness as their own fuel behind their fire, they could sometimes become victims of their own products in a way. So have you found the creative process to be just as painful and deteriorating as it can be cathartic and enlightening?
Yes, 100%, and it's terrible. It's terrible. That's why the next album is about strength. That's why the next album is about empowerment. It's just there's so much that you can do until you're going to die.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to die anyways. Our lives will end, fine. But why suffer? I can tell you I'm done suffering. And shit is happening. Either way. Fact of the matter is, everyone you know is gone. And you're going to be there to see it until you're gone. That's just life.
Yep.
If you're still alive, you're there to see them sick and dying. But you're there to see so much more, too.
Well, I heard in one of my writing classes that a lot of the anger that we have in the world and the anxiety that we have in the world, it could all be traced back to not knowing what happens when you do die. I think it all ties back to that.
Well, that's what Sleep Forever is about. Sleep Forever is about that land far away that can't be seen by common eyes. Once you arrive, you are here to stay beyond the mountains, seas, and skies. It's abstract. It's, we don't know what happens after we're gone,
I'm hoping that for all us metalheads, we just go to this epic festival where all the bands that are not around anymore. I can't wait to see a fest the ultimate super group with Dimebag on guitars, Alexi Leho on the other guitars, and maybe Scott Weiland on vocals, and then Vinnie Paul on the drums. I think there'll be just bands of all the musicians who are no longer with us, and it'll be the most epic festival.
Do you believe that that's what's going to happen?
I hope so, and I hope I get approval to work press at the festival too.
Okay, so you said the word hope. You said that you hope so. If you believe so, it will happen. It will happen. The power that we have not only after death, but the power that we have in this world to create, to manifest, to have things happen in our lives. I mean, on the way here, our manager was talking to us about a festival that she's trying to book us in, and I'm driving the car, and we're driving, and it's raining outside, and we're on the Brooklyn Bridge, and I go, yeah, I have that logo of that festival on my vision board, and they go, what? I'm like, yeah, that's It's normal. We just have to tap into it and make it happen.
Well, I heard a quote, and this sounds very pessimistic, and it's cool, but like, there's hope in one hand, shit in the other. See which one fills up first. Because you could hope, sometimes hope is just a distraction. And sometimes we could spend all day hoping, but, I hope to, one day maybe interview one of my favorite bands or something like that, or, I was always hoping to interview that, but you have to work at it in order to get it. It wasn't just hoping. So
that's true.
Yeah, so hope is good to have, but I've always said hope is good to have, it's not always good to use. That's my philosophy.
I like something Jim Carrey said. He said, hope is a beggar, but belief will make you jump over flames blindly.
Leave it to Jim Carrey, one of the funniest people of all time, to come up with a quote that awesome.
The guy is stupid deep. He's like, and I love that. I'm a deep person myself.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between hoping something that is going to happen, and there's a difference between hoping it's going to happen and then believing. Because when you hope, you're like, yeah, you know what? I hope that happens. I mean, it may or may not. But when you believe it will, you're already programming your mind. You're already saying to yourself, this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Well, there was people who believed that the world was going to end in 2012, and that didn't happen, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know.
Maybe it did for them. In many ways, their mindset was there. Maybe what is the world ending? Is it you die? Is the world, explodes? Does planet Earth explode completely? What does that mean, the end? What does it really mean, the end? And the fact of the matter is, there is no end. I know we're concerned about, climate change and all this shit and the globe literally exploding, and these are very important matters. I know. But the fact of the matter is, you're here for only a fucking finite amount of time. How long are you really here for?
Of course.
110 years? Let's go crazy.
Right? I mean, with all the bacon I eat, maybe 50. But and when people interpret your music, because you have such a deep concept behind it, I consider Consciously Dying to be almost like a philosophy or an experience as much as it is a band and a music and a list of songs. Yeah. But when people interpret your music and experience it and maybe relate to it in their own way, do you think that adds another layer of context or adds another layer of meaning to the material?
Of course, with myself as well. In March, my mom had a procedure. She had a brain tumor removed, and it paralyzed her completely. And it turned our lives upside down. And we had a tour in Mexico, and just 2 hours after they told us she won't be able to do anything ever on her own again, I had to decide, am I leaving to JFK, getting back on a plane to LA, getting my shit, and doing this Mexican tour. And I decided to do it. And I'm lucky to have a family that supported me and that understood that I have to do it. And I remember sitting in the car as my dad was taking me to JFK, and I said, I used to think that my songs were all about death, but now I know that they're about life. And they go together. We know that they go together, but I could tell you that the whole idea of life and death, going through that, I'm still going through it. I went to see her yesterday in New Jersey. She's in rehab. She's off the respirator, which I'm super happy about, and she's fighting. But seeing your parents, seeing a person so close to you fighting like that, how can you not value life? How can you not appreciate life? And I know that we find comfort in darkness. We do. Yeah. It's a way to get us out.
Some people would use that experience as a justification to hate life.
Yes, but how good are their lives really? All they know is just hate and anger.
Yeah.
And I've had that enough in my life.
Yeah.
I still have it, but...
Well, and I'm glad you bring this up, because I have discussions with people, whenever I'm having a bad day, right? And it could be something as minuscule as, I got into an argument with somebody at work, to something as tragic as, I lost somebody. But people would always try to make others feel better with saying, yeah, well, look at that person. He has it worse. I'm like, great. It sucks for that person, and I feel bad for him. It doesn't solve my problem or drain my emotion. It's like bringing somebody to the emergency room because they cut their arm with broken glass, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, well, look at that guy. He's on fire. You're fine. Go home."
Oh, well, I feel way better.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's funny that it does happen though. You look at the person, and there's a little bit in there. And again,
it doesn't for me.
No?
When I was in the ER, and for like something that was minor compared, there was a person right next to me who had like a bullet wound to like his chest, and I'm like, oh, sucks for you, but doctor, please help me right here. So I mean, I think we are in our own midst of chaos. What is around us is insignificant, I feel. And I'm not like trying to make that as a justification to be self-absorbed or selfish. I just think it's human nature that when we are in our own peril, we focus on that. Because how can we worry about the peril of others if we can't focus on ourselves?
It does give you proportion, though.
Yeah.
I could tell you that when I wake up in the morning, I'm just glad to be alive. And I'm happy that my feet hit the floor.
That is so not metal. No, I'm kidding.
I know. There are a lot of things about me that are not metal.
No, but that's awesome. And it's good that you have this creativity that can make you embrace that. And I think you show beauty in the world within the darkness expressed through your music, and I think that's a unique way of expressing it. So we thank you.
It's a part of me. The darkness is a part of all of us. We all have darkness. We all have it in us. The question is what we do with it. And I can go into a supermarket with a semi-automatic and take down 32 people. Yeah. Or I can write music.
I prefer the latter. I prefer the latter.
The latter. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
But some people don't have that. They bottle up everything inside. There are two kinds of crazy people. There's a crazy person that's yelling at the cashier for not taking their coupon. They're like, "This is a $2 coupon. You have to take it." And everyone's like, "Oh, that person's crazy." And there's another person that they don't accept their coupon every time, every day, another day, and then they walk in with a fucking bomb into the supermarket.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be the first one.
Fair enough. But better to be the Karen in that case.
Yeah, exactly. The Karen.
And the final question I wanted to ask you is, because Consciously Dying is a band, and it is a collaboration. Does everybody in the band need to be feeling the same way when writing music together? Did all of you have to be feeling that same essence of darkness, or being that it is a band, compromise of individuals with their own experiences, maybe having different emotions and different experiences maybe helped create contrast in the sound?
It's funny you would say that, because that's exactly the process of the growth of the band. The fact of the matter is, Bereavement was recorded by a different lineup.
Oh, really?
It was.
Oh, I did not know that.
It was. It was recorded by a different lineup. The album came out, and we survived COVID, but it still had a toll. Everyone had their own thing, and then this whole lineup is new. It's a whole new lineup, and I think that with this new lineup comes the new energy, because the lineup before was dark. It was a dark lineup, and it made sense. We made very dark art. We did. I think the next album is going to be, sonically the same, sonically still true to the style itself, but filled with a different energy. An energy of togetherness. We got these in Mexico. Hebrew letters, Bet, Yud, Chet, Dalet, which means together. And these are our symbols, our family names reduced to symbols, and this is the coffin and the skull from the logo. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a big part of what's happening right now. There's a new energy of strength, an energy of resilience, an energy of perseverance, an energy of doing this no matter what. And as the leader here, I try to set the best example, and it's taking. We're here without Solanis, which is the Sun Warrior, right? But we're here without him, and the tour is still fucking happening.
But when you work on a song for like a long period of time, in a way, because you mentioned you were working on these since COVID, when you are working on a song for a long period of time, emotions tend to exit us as quick as they come sometimes. So when you work on something for so long, is it harder to sort of maintain that emotion that initially sparked that idea?
As I said, it's still there. It's still there within you, even though you've released it, even though you've let it go. It's still there. However, now just like you said, there are other people involved. They bring in their energy. They bring in their thoughts, emotions, and opinions, right? And I want to accept it. I want to embrace it. I want to listen. I want to listen, not only to myself, but to my bandmates and my fans and the people that listen to this music, the people that I eventually give this to. They are important to me. I care about them. I care about them very, very, very much because I want to give. I want to give to, and it's selfish because I want to give to myself. Who's that 16-year-old metalhead kid? That's me. That's me. I was that kid. And I want to give him something that I never had. And if I can heal him and strengthen him and give him the tools to be a stronger person, then I've done my job.
That's the job, and that the fact that you can make that happen is a real blessing, and thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time and for such an awesome conversation, an awesome album, and thank you for coming to New York today. I'm stoked to see you guys kill it tonight. Just anything else with Consciously Dying that you would like to promote, when we can be expecting new music, and any other shows coming up that you'd like to promote? Plug away.
Well, yeah.
That was my phone dropping.
Well, we're going to be hitting the studio in October, hopefully releasing a few singles towards the end of the year. And then next year, the full album is going to be coming out, the second album number 2. That's it. We're just looking forward to touring everywhere, and if you want us to come play, we will.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, Aviv. Everybody, Aviv of Consciously Dying, Bereavement, be sure to pick that up. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.